I don't know if you saw this new robot that has come out from this new company, One X Technologies, called the Neo Robot. I think it's a Scandinavian company
Hmm.
where they've released this new humanoid robot that I think weighs at around 60 kilograms and stands at about 5'6"
Right.
feet.
So
It's covered in, like, if you see photos of it, it's covered in like some kind of fabric material. Almost a bit like Optimus, I suppose. Maybe. Don't Optimus robots look
yeah,
like that, I
I
think. I
guess
think all
yeah, it's obvious we're going to get a competitor to Optimus. It's just like
well,
I wasn't
well,
aware of where it was coming from.
well, yeah, they literally released it, and they released pre-orders for it, and they were advertising it as effectively a robot that can work autonomously within your home and do chores
Right. So
and
it's
domestic
very like
chores.
Optimus.
Yeah, effectively.
Because that's where Tesla and Elon Musk think that most of the company's growth is going to come from. If you looked at last night's news about, I think it was last night, about Elon Musk getting the 1 trillion pay package approved if he
Oh, I
meets
saw that the other
he meets
day. Yeah.
certain requirements, and then that's yeah, but apparently that's likely to come from the Optimus robots, which is interesting. Not the cars.
Mm. A lot of people are upset about that online. About that
Yeah,
one
well, on the
trillion pay
face of it,
package.
it looks quite bad, and maybe it is quite bad. But I guess it's not as simple as just he's getting $1 trillion.
Yes, I think a lot of people see the headline and the way that a lot of like news feeds have presented that headline about Elon Musk getting that 1 trillion makes it look like as if he's just handing money while people are starving or something, as if he's taking starving people's money and making a runner
Yeah,
with it or something. I don't know. It's just that's how the headline sounded to me, which isn't the case at all.
I believe
There's
it's performance based, so
yeah,
he has to improve or at least the company has to get to a certain level, I guess, or at a certain date, which is dramatically more than the current company value. I believe about five
it's
times more.
yeah, as you say, 5 times more increase of the
Which is
company's
why,
value.
like, people are always complaining about CEOs getting paid all this money, even charity CEOs. But even though it might be controversial to say this or annoying for people to hear, it may not be, but it might be that the studies have been done, and actually companies know that if they don't pay a CEO a certain amount to get a good CEO, then their performance reduces. And so
Mm.
they actually make less money as a company and are able to pay their employees less. So this might actually be an essential investment for a company to make, if it can make it, to hire the best possible CEO, because arguably that is one of the highest ROI investments a company can make. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would like a lot of companies wouldn't like to pay out these huge pay packages unless there was evidence which supported that.
I understand, and part of me agrees that this is how the market works. I mean,
It's like Premier League footballers. Like, we don't like that they're getting paid so much, but the market is there. But the market enables that.
yeah,
So it's a problem with capitalism. It's a byproduct, a side effect, you might say, of capitalism. But
precisely.
if you want the capitalist system, you have that, and then the best of both worlds is you let capitalism work. If you assume that's the best way to create turnover, and then you tax those people. That's the ideal, and that's really how a lot of countries work, including the US and UK. That seems to be the optimum model as far as we've found.
But 1 trillion is still an exorbitant amount of money. I can't. I just yes, but it's still an exorbitant amount of money, an unfathomable amount of money. My brain cannot actually visualize
Well,
$1 trillion.
but can your brain really visualize 1 million, even 100,000?
I can
Or
visualize
some
one
people
million.
get
I can.
paid.
I've
But
I've watched.
how can you, like, once it's a big number? I think studies show that you can't visualize it.
Yeah, but you know how I can visualize it. Have you watched Breaking Bad? Have you watched Breaking Bad?
Only one episode.
Well, you're missing out. Like at some point in Breaking Bad, the guy has so much money, he has to effectively create a whole bed of money. Like it's literally a whole, like the size of a double bed where they can lay on. Like this is how much money he has, and I think it was like a few million. That's the visualization of it. I can visualize it, you know?
Well, assuming that was correct, but yeah, go on.
I believe it was correct. I believe that they went to great lengths to make sure that this was kind of accurate. And this is kind of how I can visualize this sort of level of money. But like, when we're talking about trillions, it's just, to me, it's just unfathomable at this point. Like a billion, even a billion is unfathomable. But like a trillion now, when you have people that live on like, I don't know, um, $3 an hour maybe in places, it's probably insane.
Yeah.
Like the contrast is like someone is on Earth and someone is on the moon.
Yeah. Well, it's likely to just keep getting worse in terms of a wealth gap, but also potentially better for the people who are at the other end of a wealth gap, who are poor. And life quality should improve. And Elon Musk's seems to be on the side of the debate that actually says that AI will likely give everyone a universal abundant income. So it will provide people with more than enough money. But then what does that do to people who are very rich, like Elon Musk? Does that dilute what money's worth? Because everyone now has more money. And so, like, when you print money in the economy, then that
Yeah, but
dilutes all
that's the
money
thing. We
that's
cannot.
currently in the economy.
That's what I mean. We cannot all be billionaires. Otherwise, a billion would mean nothing.
Yeah, so
In the way the system is built, we cannot all be rich. Otherwise, the system doesn't work. If we're all having millions to spend, no one has anything to spend.
yeah, so
Unless we completely go away from the concept of money and we have something else. I don't know.
well, yeah, if AI can sort of do a lot of the jobs more efficiently than us and create more of the products that we use in a more efficient way, which makes them cheaper, then you're effectively what you're buying is cheaper, and so your money goes further.
You'd hope, but
And supposedly, then if you have more than enough things coming your way, like, or you can buy everything that you actually want, and then like people like Elon Musk might be 1,000 times richer than you, but it doesn't matter because you can still buy everything you want because everything's cheaper. Just imagine everything was 10% of the price what it is currently.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it might not happen, but maybe can always hope.
But
Probably come
you mentioned abundance and a state of abundance.
Universal abundant income. I'm not sure if that's the exact term he uses.
Well, I think they used the term an era of abundance when they were talking about this new robot, the Neo humanoid robot, where they're effectively selling it as a way to have a servant at home that can do all your tidying, organizing, fetching items, folding laundry, putting the dishwasher on. But there's a caveat.
There's always a
That
caveat.
there is chores that it might not be able to do automatically, or might not be able to recognize how to do. And when that is the case, someone can connect to the robot and do the work for you through the robot.
How so? Well, what? Someone, not you, not the owner, someone back at the factory or whatever.
Yeah, someone back at the factory connects to the robot and effectively slaves away, controlling the robot for you.
Right, and maybe after that's done once, when the robots sort of figured it out,
And
like the robot vacuum cleaners, once they've gone around your house and they scan the map, then they know exactly where everything is, so they don't bump into stuff anymore.
that's the hope, I think. That is the long-term hope that by doing that, they'll ultimately have enough data to train it to do all these things on its own.
Yeah, well, this is the key thing. Like Musk self-driving cars, they need enough data, real world data, to train on, and data is like the really valuable thing because that's the hardest thing to get in a way.
But that's the thing. If you're, by the way, it costs $20,000.
That's not as bad as I thought it might be, and that shows
It's not.
it's interesting because the price will probably come down as well, which means actually it might be feasible in a few years for most people to buy it considering how much of a time, money and time saving investment it is. Well, at least time saving, and which is money saving effectively. So you can have this at home doing a lot of your chores, and then you can spend that time you would have done doing chores, doing stuff you supposedly enjoy more, which will probably end up just being browsing on social media more.
Consuming more, as we were saying in our last episode.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
talking about consumption and
And actually,
social
there
media.
might be a dark side in terms of, I don't know. Like, I actually sometimes like having house chores to do, but yeah, maybe there's always going to be something to do, and it just means you won't get completely overwhelmed by jobs. So I'm sure you can
And
always
that's the
find something
thing.
to do, even if it's just outside the house. If it's going around and help someone else or help someone in a charity or whatever. So I think there'll always be stuff for us to fill up
Oh, there
time
always be
with,
stuff,
like manual work, which
and
would be good if we wanted.
and don't forget, if you have a family, all the jobs like triple or quadruple.
Yeah, yeah, and so
Like if you have children at home, there's never a time that you don't do chores and cleaning up after them. So a robot like that.
one topic, yeah, but robots can take some of those chores, but then you can focus your time on raising your children rather than just cleaning up after them.
Yes, precisely that. I I'm still surprised that people. I don't know how many people would agree to. I don't know if it's an opt-in or an opt-out feature. The feature that someone can take over the robot. I don't know how I would feel about that. That someone can see and control the robot in your
Yeah,
house.
like what if a task you wanted to teach it was how to fuck you?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, he doesn't know how to do it. It's going to get someone in the factory to help him.
Well, yeah,
I
what did
like
you
to
have to
see
know?
that
Good.
footage be a fly on the wall in the factory.
And also like, is that the future? A future of like human slaves in factories controlling robots 24/7 for its people? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm sure there will be some element to that in some sort of way. Like that will happen to some degree. But
It's
yeah, it might not be a big thing. It might be a big thing.
Yeah, it feels like an episode, more and more of an episode of Black Mirror, where you're just literally in a pod where you can move and run and do everything and walk, but you're just in a pod and your job is to control a robot for a rich person.
Mm.
And you do their chores and stuff, and that's your 8-hour days because they have no other use for you. Just to control one of these AI robots, supposedly.
Yeah,
It's just a bit dystopian, I don't know. I hope
yeah,
the technology gets there, I mean, they're promising a lot with AI every day. And I'm not seeing it yet. Everyone is kind of releasing those half-cooked products that are promising, oh yeah, tomorrow we'll do everything. Tomorrow we'll do everything. But today we're just going to be using slaves in a factory to do it. Up in a third world country, most likely.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's just
yeah. Like Peter Thiel, the big Silicon Valley funder of many different companies, who's a controversial character. But he talked about in his book Zero to One how, and this was written like 14 years ago, I think, roughly. So he was talking about how there's been a tech revolution, a software revolution, but not a hardware revolution. So if you look outside, there's not much down the high street that you can notice is actually
mm,
clearly modern, like in terms of it could be, all their clothing's changed a little bit, but it's roughly the same as it was
yeah,
for
it could still
40
be early
years ago.
2000s if you look at movies of
Yeah,
the early
yeah.
2000s and you look at them to today. The only difference is like
And so
iPhones
all
in
this,
people's hands.
all the stuff that's we're getting excited about so far, mainly is on the phone. So it's a software revolution. It's on the computer. So yeah, all this AI is still on the computer. So
Mm.
this is why I almost take everything with a grain of salt all these robots and stuff, because so far we haven't seen a mass rollout of any real hardware which can do this stuff. I guess robot vacuum cleaners, to an extent, self-driving cars, although they haven't been properly rolled out. So, but the fact that these things are possible, it's not like we're just speculating that one day this might be possible, but it's actually, this is here. It's just whether it's feasible, if it's practical and it's cost effective to roll it out. It's not magic anymore.
Yeah, and what worries me is that a lot of people will be buying this sort of robots, and as you said, the hardware isn't that advanced. And on top of that, I've seen a lot of videos online where it's mainly videos from robots in China, and there's a lot of these videos where the robots just go berserk. The robot will just like stumble on something, and then it will just start flailing and like whacking everything around it,
Oh,
or
right. You don't want to put a little kid near that, man. And
that's what I'm
end up
saying.
killing it, and then you've got a big lawsuit on your hands.
Or it suddenly just starts rampaging
Yeah.
out of nowhere. There's a lot of these videos of robots like that going into some kind of rampage, and then they stop or something. And I don't know what causes them, or if they are like real videos, or if I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It's
haven't
also
done my
hard to know
research
how
on them.
much of these problems, same with AI, is teething issues, or whether it's a genuine problem of attack which will only get worse or be the same when it's rolled out more fully.
Yeah, and it's like, and who's at fault? If your robot kills you in your own home, is it the company's fault? The robot's fault? The guy who's controlling it in the warehouse fault? Whose fault is it?
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine a episode of Black Mirror when you get this person at the factory controlling your robot, and then he conducts a murder, and then
Effectively,
of
yes.
the owner, and it's like, oh, who did it? Who's to blame?
Exactly. Like, it's just more and more Black Mirror every day. Every day, Black Mirror becomes reality, and they won't have any
Well,
more
it does
episodes
and
to
it
do.
doesn't, like, because for most people, their everyday reality is pretty much the same as 50 years ago. They watch TV, maybe now
Yes.
on Netflix. Um, they have a phone so they can call people. They can message people, which is basically the same as texting. Obviously, you can go down these rabbit holes of or just being on social media all day. That's a new thing. There's sort of unlimited amounts of content to consume. But if you have a time and money, a long time ago, you could consume unlimited books or newspapers or plays or whatever you want to spend your time doing. So yeah, I think yeah, dystopia is here, but not
Not in.
only it's a possibility, or but it's not like we have to buy into it yet, which is a good thing.
Yes, it is a little bit exaggerated. Yes, and I do like to exaggerate a little bit and speak hyperbolically about
Yeah,
about the changes that are coming and what might happen and stuff. But I like them, to be honest. I like the sort of discoveries because I would hope that a robot like this, one of these humanoid robots in the future, could be in every elderly person's home that can act as their helper, their companion, conversation companion, even for loneliness. We already know that one of the biggest killers for older people, elderly, is actually the root cause is loneliness.
I think it's going to be interesting doing the studies because now they've got like lots of people with AI, maybe soon to be robot girlfriends, boyfriends,
Mm.
and yeah, I would bet
Mm.
not loads of money because I don't have loads of money, but I bet something that this won't solve the loneliness epidemic. So it might actually make it worse. But like robots, maybe they can communicate incredibly well, but there's just something which is perhaps hard to put your finger on, which is you might call the human element or soul or whatever that means. And I think that's going to be the thing which we find is missing, and that sort of without that undermines all the other stuff, like the ability to communicate well. Even when we talked about AI Maya like
Mm.
several months ago, and she even like breathed in the right places to make it seem more real and everything.
I think if you had Maya converse on the phone with someone who is
Is old.
80, 90 years old today, they wouldn't be able to tell.
Yes, but the people who are 80, 90-year olds today, they're going to be the people generally are going to be quite against all this AI. So it would be ethical to tell them that this is an AI that you're going to be interacting with, so they'd be against it, I would bet. And so it's only when we age up to that age, and then when we age up to that age, we probably have experimented with these sort of relationships to a smaller or less or bigger degree, and we'll find them unfulfilling, I think, by and large.
You hope. You hope you'd be able to tell by then.
Well, I don't think it's
You
so much
hope
just about
you
telling.
hope
It,
you
it
you hope they won't be like, the Terminator, where they're effectively like humans and you can't tell the difference between a robot and a
yeah,
human anymore. And you're just like, oh yeah, you've been so kind to me. You've been coming home every day and saying me hi to me, and then you don't know that your children have bought you that robot to come and visit you every day and become your companion.
Yeah, yeah, that's a real ethical part of the world. Yeah, no, I'm sure some people will get sucked into this because, for instance, like dating and stuff.
Yeah,
The
you
narrative
you.
is it's become harder for whatever for multiple reasons.
Mm.
Like, and so people will probably end up just taking this as the next best alternative, and it probably does tick a lot of boxes. But my point is, it might pass the time like a relationship with a human does, but I don't think it will be bring the same
You
level of fulfillment.
you'd be surprised. Like you have recently on social media, there was this kind of, I don't know if you had heard of it, women choosing the bear. Have you heard about that?
I don't know.
It was it was very popular. It's not news now. It's been a while now where this came up, and I think it started where someone started saying that if they were in in a forest on their own, and their choice was a man or a bear,
Oh yeah, no, I did know this.
they would choose the bear. So in that kind of landscape of human relationships, I think we're gonna see more relationships with AI than ever before.
Yeah,
People are
maybe
wanting to
out
choose
of
the bear than other humans.
maybe out of necessity, but yeah, I think the fact that we know it's not, even if it feels like it is, it's the same with like AI art. I bet there's very few people who stuck AI art on the wall, except maybe because they come up with the idea for the prompt for it and they think, oh, that's my creativity, so let's put it on there, even though it's not really your creativity. So yeah, you can, if you know, if you've been told that AI, this isn't a robot,
Hmm.
then that undermines it. It's like saying this, oh, it's a Michelangelo. It looks like a Michelangelo, but you've been told it's not a Michelangelo, and your interest in it just suddenly crashes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There is something inherently important and valuable in human to human interactions that cannot really be taken over by AI at the moment, unless maybe AGI, or as they call it, artificial general intelligence, becomes so powerful and so advanced that is better than humans, that can converse like a human and even better than a human, and actually
I wonder if it
uh,
about its experiences, its life experiences, like in, but maybe robots could give us, in Westworld, part of the training for
mm,
consciousness is to have these experiences, often suffering related. And also, interestingly, art is often compelling because those artists have had these life experiences, maybe these transcendent experiences of the divine or suffering. And people like Van Gogh, obviously, his life story makes his art much more compelling. And yeah, maybe you could upload a backstory to some of these AIs, some sort of, yeah. You could even imagine, this is Black Mirror, someone like maybe me or you, like we've got no money left for our grandchildren, like Ulysses S. Grant, and you have to write his journals to make enough money to give him something to live on. But I haven't got enough money to support our kids, and so we sell our life story.
oh yeah,
And
that'd be so
so
dystopian.
we sell our life story to this company, and it owns your life story and uploads it to this AI, so it becomes a much more compelling figure, and you get some form of digital immortality, then almost real immortality, because it's not just on a computer static, it's something
Mm,
on a robot walking around,
yeah, that is very
maybe
Black Mirror.
with your face as well, actors, you can
Exactly, with
tell
my
the,
face
like,
as
your
well.
face is who's that, the bold guy, Jason Statham, or is it the other guy, the guy
Vin
who's got,
Diesel or something. Cool.
no, it's the older guy. Sorry, he's slightly older. He was in all his action films, but he's yeah, he's got Parkinson's disease. Or,
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I was getting
Bruce
mixed up. Yeah.
Willis. Yes, he has. Yeah, he's. Yeah, it's unfortunate about his health, but
Mhm.
yeah, you'll be like that probably. Like your image being used if you sign it away.
And some people might like it. Like you could imagine some fancy advert saying you're near death, but now you could be immortal and you can have this money to support your family.
Yeah, that is a scary world of the future like that. But you know, on the subject of the human relationships and I don't know if you had heard recently that ChatGPT. I don't know if they've already implemented it, but it will allow its users to write erotica with the use of ChatGPT.
Right. Yeah. I I guess that's, yeah. Obviously, they can do that. Like, it's not like beyond the technical realms of possibility. It's just whether ChatGPT allow it. That's the only thing which is slightly surprising. But the thing is, with all these AI tools, some other AI can do it, like, because they're less stringent on the rules.
Yeah.
So one of these AI boyfriend girlfriend apps got in trouble a few weeks ago because of its enticing of or allowing kids under age 18 to fall in love with their chatbots. And yeah, like, their argument was, oh, but some other company will do it, and they're not as well safeguarded because they're not as a bigger company as us, and they have to follow the same legislation as us, and so you might as well rather us do it. It's the same argument almost, but the US says, oh, we need to develop artificial intelligence because China are doing the same thing, and if you let
Someone
them
will do it.
if someone else will do it. So it's almost like that competition could end up being the thing which kills the human race or ends the human race. I think that's in terms of what's most likely to cause the end of the human race. That does seem to be up there in terms of a very strong possibility. And yeah, it might explain why there's been no advanced civilization in the universe as far as we know advanced enough to travel or explore other solar systems.
Yeah, they developed AI and they self-destroyed.
Yeah, because now we know AI is a possibility. So any advanced culture, civilization, probably comes up with some form of AI, and that ends up destroying them.
Then maybe what we should be looking is for signs of AI in the universe instead of an actual civilization. Maybe there is intelligent machines out there that are hiding from us instead of actual life.
Yeah. I don't know what your theory on aliens is, but I thought about this the other day, and like it's just a theory. But I was thinking, like, if there is, like, supposedly there should be other life forms in the universe because it's just so vast, and because it's so vast, there should be some form of very, very advanced life that manages to actually come here. So maybe the aliens have come here, but they don't reveal themselves to us, and the reason that we got no one come and destroy us from another alien star system is because the really, really advanced aliens are protecting us.
Oh, I see what you mean. They've already found us. I mean, a lot of people believe that there are signs in the past, like of what people have drawn or of what people have designed and drawings. And I had seen there is a little statue that was found somewhere of a guy that looks like he's piloting an alien spaceship, and this kind of statue is like thousands of years old,
Yeah.
and it looks like a guy driving a spaceship, like literally, like this sort of like advanced kind of seat and stuff, and like tubing and cables and stuff all around him, and it
Yeah,
looks like he's.
I'm not particularly convinced by all this stuff. Like, it's interesting, but it's
I know.
firstly, it's not very, very abundant. There's not like loads and loads of examples of this, and you
No,
think
but like,
there either would be or there wouldn't be. And also, yeah, you could, well, maybe
but the
over,
amount of things that has been lost over the years at the same time.
yeah,
People were smart enough to be building the pyramids, and a few centuries later were like pissing in buckets. There's been a lot of times that we've had kind of knowledge resets because
yeah.
of
No,
war and
that is true.
conflict, and everything was lost, and art and history and so much was lost, and technology was lost. It's like that's my only sort of argument for the potential existence of some technology that was lost, even. But even if it didn't come from from aliens or extraterrestrial, maybe we had the knowledge and through war and conflict we lost it.
Yeah, well, I guess the same argument applies to, like, I don't know what the formula is, but there's some sort of like theory which is like says the universe is just so large, and so there must be this number of
Oh yeah,
suns
isn't
which
it the
can
Fermi
sustain,
paradox?
yeah, which can sustain life, and they have planets, so they work out how likely life is in the whole universe, and it's dramatically very likely in many places. Like, there should be many instances of life, and advanced life. So the same with human history. If you really look at the number of years in human history, it's massive, and even non-human history maybe as well. So if you look at just animal history, that's even more like time. mind-blowing amount of time there is. And so it's almost more likely that there's been several of these reset moments of advanced life developing and then for whatever reason not sustaining, which is a bit
Mm.
worrying for us. Like, that sounds logically perhaps true, but my gut feeling is that hasn't happened. I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that that has. I think it has on a small scale, such as the Egyptians and other cultures building fairly impressive things, and the Romans building fairly impressive
Mm.
things.
The
But
Roman
that's a
Empire.
result of a civilization or order just working for a little bit, and then but that civilization succumbs to corruption or like war, and then that collapses the system. But I haven't seen any evidence of it being super like clearly very advanced beyond or equal to what we have today.
No, I don't think there is real evidence either. I'm just
Even Graham
playing a little bit.
Hancock, who argues for this lost civilization, he corrects the common misconception that this wasn't necessarily a civilization which was advanced today as just advanced compared to a lot of other cultures in history.
Well, yeah, of course. Even if you have compare what the Roman Empire had, as you said, with other parts of the world that didn't have any of the baths and the sewage systems and the paved roads and all that. Other parts of the world at that time didn't have any of this. So comparatively, they were very advanced.
Yeah, and like go back to this epoch, like 10,000 years ago, the first earliest example of advanced building, supposedly done by Neolithic, I think Neolithic, no, probably not Neolithic, but farmers or like people who are hunter gatherers because they hadn't settled yet because farming hadn't become a thing. There hadn't been the agricultural revolution. So that's a big distinct difference between what the evidence, archaeological evidence is, and who was supposedly living in that time. And so that's always people like Graham Hancock's one of their favorite go-tos to say, "Oh, look at this," but yeah, it's not proof. I think it's interesting, but it's not proof.
No, I agree. Did you hear anything more about that Atlas 3 space object that's been going around the sun at the moment?
No, I just know loads of yeah scientists have found videos of themselves online made by AI suggesting, oh, this looks like an
Really?
alien spacecraft. Yeah, like that's the thing with AI these days is you can get a very convincing video of like
No
these
way.
famous scientists saying, "Oh yeah, it looks like it's got traces of a alien aircraft," and then the real scientist sees it and he's like, "Nope, didn't say that." Very convincing, but I didn't say that.
Really? Because I've heard the same. That a lot of people say this. Maybe I've been caught in the AI bubble as well.
Yeah, this
Where
is why like places like TikTok are going to become unlivable in terms of if you want actual truth, because you really have to only follow verifiable accounts, such as like even if you think it's fake news, like BBC and stuff, because the alternative is just wild wild west. It's like following your advice from your doctor, who may be imperfect, maybe even biased in the hands of drug companies, but it's almost worse to go to the alternative, which is the wild west of people selling you supplements online.
yeah, and I had heard the same that people were saying about that Atlas 3 that they're saying most likely it is alien. I had heard from a few people saying on videos online that they're saying there is signs of extraterrestrial activity on it and stuff. And I don't know if it's true now, but it seems that a lot of people have been misinformed about it.
It's I haven't looked into it in great detail, but it does sound like just another one of these hype stories. I think we're going to have to get much better at species, just not getting hyped up by all these little things and actually waiting. Even with like what Donald Trump says, we have to
Mm.
not get all like flustered or like all praiseworthy of what Donald Trump says. We actually see what he does and actually judge that. Which the trouble is, often the news focuses on what someone says rather than what actually is the fact.
Did you hear about, now that you mentioned about people following only verified accounts and obviously making sure they take their news from verified sources and stuff? Did you hear what China did?
Who? China?
Where China
No.
about this, about their influencers, they apparently released a new law, or they're going to release a new law that says that effectively influencers have to prove their official qualifications before creating social media content on sensitive topics like medicine, law, education.
Right. Well, I did see on YouTube what a channel from a doctor said below it. This video comes from a verified doctor. So the YouTube creator must have uploaded their certificate of medical certificate to prove. So that's a little bit analogous, but not quite the same as stopping people creating content about, say, health, unless you got a degree.
But that's what I mean. But in principle, I think that's net positive, probably, this sort of move. But then at the same time, should that mean that if you don't hold a degree on something, that you shouldn't ever talk about it online? Like as we're talking, shouldn't you be allowed to discuss something? It just feels like a slippery slope sort of thing where they can someone or a platform can decide that a conversation about something shouldn't be talked about unless you have qualifications. And obviously people that have the qualifications will be able to talk about it, but obviously that narrows down the window of how many people can talk about something very dramatically online.
Yeah, no, it does. And not just if you got a guarantee of if you got a medical qualification, you could have still, since that qualification, gone off and got into all this Wild West health world and just gone out. You could no longer work at hospitals, so you could just be taking in all this other stuff, rightly or wrongly. Maybe it's correct, but so your qualification is no guarantee that you're going to toe the party line on terms of what everyone else is thinking with health. But it's good to have some outliers, and maybe having everyone have a medical qualification if they're going to speak about medical stuff is perhaps quite a good thing, because you'll still hopefully have some outliers who can challenge the status quo, but you haven't got like an unbelievable amount of outliers. Like the number of people who create health YouTube videos who have got a qualification, like a proper qualification, versus that haven't, is probably massively skewed towards the people who haven't got a qualification. Just partly because there's just more people who haven't got a qualification, so it's just more likely to happen.
But you could argue someone can talk about disease X because they're affected by disease X. In this case, they don't have medical qualifications, but they are very affected by the disease, and they are talking about what they are experiencing, what works for them. Maybe this is not something that has been proven scientifically, but thing X might work for someone who has thing Y, might work for someone who has disease X, and so on. Someone talking online about it shouldn't constitute a violation of the rules. In my mind, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky issue. It's not exactly the same as like free speech, because this is a different era we're living in. It's not like free speech 50 years ago didn't mean being able to broadcast your speech to potentially millions of people. So that's the difference. So we have to be careful who we give a microphone to, supposedly. But yeah, it is a dangerous precedent to set to draw the line. It's probably one of these things which is sort of harmful either way, and it's pick your poison.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose, especially now with how many people want to make a social media career and make social media and influencing their life and their job, maybe there has to be more sort of red tape around it to some extent, maybe. But part of me thinks that it's also very easy to just use as an excuse to suppress.
Yeah, I think probably the ideal situation is probably something like what YouTube's done, is like putting a banner below, like saying this doesn't come from a verified doctor, or linking to the Wikipedia page. Some people even doubting Wikipedia is a good source now in terms of not biased. But anyway, something like that. So it's like World Health Organization, I don't know. Like pick whichever one.
People hate the World Health Organization as well now.
Yeah, I think we hate all of them, so it's like, so you can't beat some people, but
yeah, you can't win with any organization.
But yeah, at least you got something there for some of the people who want to have that verifiability. So it's not like you're stopping that content, but for most people who would like to watch videos which they know are from a doctor, or like who's got uploaded their certificate. I think that's quite valuable. I think, but yeah, you still have a problem of some people might not want to watch content by a real doctor, and so yeah, they're getting more and more down that rabbit hole, backing up their own beliefs.
It's hard. I don't think there's a silver bullet, and I think a more authoritarian approach will just push people to places that they
And also
shouldn't.
it will push people maybe to platforms like X,
Mm.
or other platforms which have got less free speech. And so unless it'll become a really authoritarian country where, like China, you have the ability to shut down these websites that don't comply, then yeah, and I don't think our society at the moment is going down that route. I would hope not. And so we there's no point really doing that, because people will just go to other platforms if they want to consume content related to which isn't not safeguarded.
Yeah, we'll just have to see, I suppose, because one way or another, it will probably be something that we might see more and more of, especially with how many more people are making content these days. So we might have to see what that means and if changes will happen everywhere for this sort of topic of who should talk about what.
Yeah, I think also it would be nice if it came from the user themselves rather than the company or necessarily or the government, in terms of the user being the one who gets a bit more savvy about what content they're consuming. Obviously, it's hard to do. Perhaps we're never going to get perfect.
Especially with AI now, where
Yeah, but
you.
that actually might force us to become better at like wondering, oh, is this AI or not? And if you're wondering that debate, then you may just say, I'm not going to go for sources which are not verified, just because you don't need to. Firstly, because there's more than enough verified content which is entertaining and educational enough, and it's just going to become just a sewage bucket of AI and whatever, clogging up social media and confusing you. So you just won't spend much time doing that.
But won't that create, again, monopolies of information in the long run?
How so?
Like, when you say people will have to go to only verified sources again, it will just mean that people will just be following 5, 10 verified accounts in its platform and no one else will have any voice anymore. And all these 5 or 10 verified accounts could all be controlled by one centralized authority at the end of the day who pays them all or whatnot. That's not democratization of content. This is the opposite in my view.
Yeah, no,
And I think you are all about democratization
that is a risk.
of content.
I think it's more like, all the channels on YouTube right now who are creating content, but they're not using AI. Like, then if you've been following them for years, then hopefully you can carry on following them, and you know that they're a verified source who doesn't use AI. And verified may actually mean a badge, but it might actually just mean that you've been following them for a long time and you trust them not to use AI, or if they use AI, you know exactly how they're using it, and so it's not going to trick you. So that would be my ideal, whether it happens or not. So you've got more than enough accounts to choose from, and this could happen with new accounts as well. So you just have to take everything they say with a grain of salt until eventually you actually trust that these creators are not using loads of AI. They're not misleading you with information which isn't scientifically backed. And yeah, if like places like YouTube can help you with saying that this is a verified doctor, then that's good for some people to have that information.
But that's the problem if you think about it. When you have a huge amount of slop flooding the platforms and so many accounts that are just using AI, which a lot of people might still want to watch,
Yeah,
A
well,
lot of
there's
people.
dedicated AI apps now for just
That's
AI.
what I'm saying. There is the Sora. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably just go for those apps if you want to just have that sort of form of entertainment.
But
But
that's
a
what
lot
I'm
of people
saying.
go to social media because they want truth. And you could argue if they're just going to be snake oil salesmen selling health supplements, that's not truth. But actually, in a way, they're searching for truth, because the people who watch those videos in large part are watching because they want the truth. They think that this supplement is something which factually will help them. And so people go to social media for actual truth, not just entertainment.
Yeah, I think social media platforms will have to really cordon off the whole AI activity that is kind of rampaging our feeds at the moment. I have friends who see AI all the time now, and sometimes they can't tell
Yeah,
that they've seen an AI video, and they send it to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's AI, and it's
yeah.
like
It's scary. And like those people don't necessarily change their habits. They keep
they
getting.
don't change their habits. No, they'll still consume the same content, and they'll get given more AI, and they get given more AI, and they don't realize that
Yeah,
they keep seeing more and more AI now. And sometimes I even have to double take and be like, is this really AI? Like I have to tell from based on the context and the
yeah. It's
probability
like
of it being
fighting a
true.
spam email. Like young people can do it quite easily, but older people struggle. But
Yeah.
there are always those signs, and so like for us, it's almost easy to spot a spam email. But maybe AI will be even harder in that regard. And there's some social medias which will require you to upload a video and say, is this AI created or not? But that relies on the creator saying it is or not. And I don't think there's much penalty if they say it isn't when it isn't. And how do they check whether they've lied or not? So because the AI may have got so good that it's just impossible to verify so many videos.
Mm.
And so yeah, I think the only practical solution that I can see here is verified accounts, and so that doesn't mean cutting off everyone. It means that if you want to follow Stephen Fry, I don't think he's on Twitter anymore, but if you want to follow Stephen Fry, you go to the verified Stephen Fry Twitter
Yeah, of
X account,
course. Of course.
rather than seeing all these AI versions of him, which you
Mm.
don't know are true. And so you only end up trusting the verified account. So you see something online and of Stephen Fry, and you just get used to not trusting it eventually because the only thing you can trust is the verified account of that popular figure.
Yeah. It's a little bit sad, I suppose, in a way that we have to be so guarded and become so much more not just careful but also weary of everything we see online
But in
these
a way, I think
days.
that's a good muscle to train in the body
No,
or
yeah.
the mind. One form of yoga, maybe multiple forms of yoga, is like a philosophy. It's discernment is one of the big virtues, almost the things which are valuable in life.
I know, but I don't want to feel like Sherlock Holmes at 11 o'clock at night when I'm just browsing my feed
Yeah, because we haven't.
to discern.
Yeah, usually when we're using social media, we're tired, so we haven't got that
Yeah,
ability to make these decisions or have self control. But
exactly.
that's why I think if you want to not get tricked by all this stuff, you're going to end up taking the easy solution, which is not to discern for yourself, but just to have your social media filled with verified accounts.
Probably because I don't want to be, as I said, I don't want to be at 11 o'clock at night playing Sherlock Holmes with every video I see, whether it's real or not, or AI, or it's trying to fool
Yeah,
me, or like trying to detect the pixels, get down in the nitty gritty, read the comments. Is that all? Yeah, I don't want to be
yeah,
playing
yeah.
detective at this
And
time
that's
at
just going to
night
get
with
worse
every
and
click.
worse, unless
And
like
it's getting, yeah.
TikTok put in like a slide bar where you can say slide it to the feed of people I've verified, and then you just slide that. If you've got,
Something like that.
and then if you want to go back to the everything goes, then you slide it back, and you can go into your feed, which will probably be mostly AI content.
Yeah, we need something like that for sure. For sure. It's just it's going to become unbearable soon. Otherwise, it's
Yeah,
just too much. We're going back a little bit to our ancient Greek philosophers. Do you think they would have liked discussing with AI as it is today? Do you think Socrates or Plato would use large language models to have conversations with? Or do you think they would just think that's just not right fundamentally?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No,
Hmm. Because because I feel like Socrates would be up for it. I think he'd like to have a good chat and kind
he
of
certainly did like chatting,
yeah.
but yeah, like I think there is value in models and large language models. Like obviously people say they shouldn't be your therapists and that's a danger, but yeah, I think as in terms of fleshing out your arguments, also like in terms of if you like Buddhism, certain forms of Buddhism work this in a like rational way, similar to early Greek philosophy, where the truth is not necessarily about you or me, but it's supposed to be objective, it's supposed to be rational. So you can have these conversations with large language models, which shouldn't matter whether it's a human responding to you or a
Mm.
AI in this example, because it's like rational. So like the proofs of Zen Buddhism or whatever should be self-evident, and so they're not like some sort of mystical. They might lead to that mystical, so who knows? But they're not like some mystical explanation. They're a rational explanation which ends to break down your way of looking at the world by using logic. And
Mm.
arguably, that's what Socrates and yeah, definitely a lot of the post-Socratic philosophers were trying to do.
Mm.
And so AI allows you to have that conversation. So for Socrates to be able to flesh out his arguments with that and test his thinking and
Yeah.
maybe ask follow-up questions, like he might say, is not as good as maybe the philosopher next door, but in terms of it gives me the privacy to test out these ideas and in a recursive model to strengthen my own argumentation and challenge my,
Mm.
like if you knew how to use it maybe in a Socratic way, don't know if it's
Yeah.
Socratic, but you know, like asking it to, like, I've got this view. Is there any problems with this view? Can you challenge it? And
Yeah.
so actually knowing how to use a large language model is more and more valuable.
So you believe they would use them more as a tool of sharpening their reasoning and their conversation and
Yeah,
their
it could also be very good at coming up with
skills.
analogies to convince your students, whether you're like a Zen Buddhist or not. Like it come up with compelling analogies related to their real world events of your students. You could be talking with this LLM at night, and it comes up with this great analogy, and you're like, I'll use that tomorrow
Mm.
with my students. And yeah, so I think people like Socrates could well have made use of
Mm.
LLMs, but they probably would have seen the danger of it being if people were completely sucked into that and only trusting that and spending all their time on that,
Yeah,
because
I
they didn't see
completely
that as
agree
a point
as
of
well.
life. They didn't see the reasoning as the point of life. It was
No,
the
use a
ladder,
tool.
the route, the door to an experience of life.
Mm. Very nice. I agree.